And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're literally 50,000 away. So let's get there. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share because the crazy, it's here. Now, let me be clear about something. And I know more about this than basically anybody. No one, and I mean no one, should be surprised that yesterday it was announced that New York Attorney General Letitia James had been indicted on 2 charges, right? Bank fraud and false statement charges in the Eastern District of Virginia. Now, I have been saying this long ago. I did it on television. I turned around, I told you the first one would be Comey. I even predicted the second would be Tish James. We all saw this coming. Now, Trump's new pick for Virginia, the U.S. Attorney, Lindsay Halligan, she wrote a 3-paragraph press release announcing the indictment. Now, to be honest, such a short statement, it's surprising. But her work so far has actually not been, let's just say, up to par. In her indictment of Comey, as an example, she included 2 counts. 2s, right? Yesterday, in a filing related to Tish James, Halligan actually said that Brooklyn was in New Jersey. Now, Trump, of course, removed Eric Siebert, who is the former U.S. attorney, who claims that there wasn't enough evidence to charge James Comey. Now, Halligan has been handpicked by Trump to go after his political enemies. Let me show you. Here's what AG Letitia James' response to the indictment was. Play the clip.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
Yeah, let me be very clear about something. Of course, Republicans are applauding this indictment. Democrats, of course, are screaming political retribution. They're calling this political revenge by Trump. Why? Well, because he posted things. Let me be crystal clear on something to each and every one of you. James Comey made the same sort of ridiculous video that Tish James just did, that I just showed you. The response to this indictment, it really exposes deep hypocrisy, something, again, I know, unfortunately, all too well. Tish James herself campaigned on a promise to prosecute Trump. You remember that? Many cheered. Democrats cheered. Republicans sneered. When she pursued his business and secured that massive civil judgment, which now is on appeal, she was applauded. She was applauded for using the law to bring down a political foe. Now, the same tactics are aimed at her. And the funny thing is that the outcry by my party, by Democrats, is deafening. The cycle, it's not unprecedented. It is an inevitable result of turning the law into a political weapon. Now, I want to be clear about something. It is not about Lindsey Halligan. It's not even about Donald Trump. It's not about his posts. It's whether or not the two charges, the two counts against her, the bank fraud and the misrepresentation, are true or not. If they are, I suspect that she will be found guilty. If they are not, well, then I suspect this case should be dropped. But this is not going to be dropped the way that these pundits are saying. Mark my words on it. This system has been broken now for decades. It didn't start yesterday with Trump, and it's not going to stop post-Trump. Now, Senator Alyssa Slotkin, she went on CNN and she said that anyone who cares about the Constitution should be worried about what is happening. Play that clip.
Yeah, well, obviously I haven't seen any of it. I'm just hearing it for the first time, but it just is part of a bigger trend of the President of the United States using the Department of Justice, using the legal system to go after political adversaries, using the arms of our democracy to go after political adversaries. Whether it's Comey or now James, Lisa Cook on the Fed, Adam Schiff here in the Senate. And if that doesn't send a shiver down the spine of anybody, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, because turnabout, another administration could be in and suddenly the arms of the government are being wielded against the Republican Party. It's just a broken way to do politics. It's corrupt. And I think that, anyone who cares about the Constitution and cares about our institutions surviving should care that the President of the United States is using Pam Bondi to do his bidding against adversaries.
And I'm going to go back and I'm going to repeat what I had said before. As I wrote in my Substack, the sword turns on the hand. So when James defenders, like Slotkin, insist that these charges will collapse because the case is weak, they misunderstand how the system works. I'm shocked, but they do. Weak cases succeed all the time because the government controls the rules. They control the resources and they control the narrative. And let me be very clear. Once the machinery is turned against you, the likelihood of walking away unscathed is slim to none. And Slim left the building. Now, you'll all remember how Trump posted a message on Truth Social to Pam Bondi. Well, here's something funny. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump actually meant to send that as a DM, a private DM to Bondi. Let me show you what it said. In it, it turns around and says, on September 20, Trump meant to send a private message to Attorney General Pam Bondi, urging her to prosecute former FBI Director James Comey and his other favored targets, according to U.S. officials familiar with the matter. Here's the quote. "We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility," Trump wrote. Trump believed he had sent Bondi the message directly, addressing it to Pam, and was surprised to learn it was public, the official said. Bondi grew upset and called White House aides and Trump, who then agreed to send a second post praising Bondi as doing a great job. The misfire provided a window into how, through command and chaos, Trump has executed a wholesale transformation of the Justice Department. Now, let me go on to say this, that during Pam Bondi's hearing, Senator Amy Klobuchar asked Bondi about Trump's instructions on that post. Play the clip.
We saw this with the president directing an investigation prosecution of Chris Krebs, the former head of cybersecurity, Lisa Cook, who is a current governor of the Federal Reserve, Director Comey. And the president, and I know you have said that you will not discuss discussions you've had with the president about Comey. Is that correct? That you won't testify here about that? Because I was going to ask you if you received advice, instruction, or request from anyone at the White House to direct the department to engage in any investigations, prosecutorial actions, including decisions not to investigate or prosecute anyone?
I'm not going to discuss any
Okay.
conversations.
But then how about the Truth Social post on September 20th, 2025, in which the president said, we can't delay any longer, Pam, using your name, not bringing criminal charges, are killing our reputation, his words, and credibility. And then goes on to tell you to prosecute a member of this committee, to prosecute the Attorney General of New York, and to prosecute James Comey. Do you consider that a directive to the Justice Department?
Senator Klobuchar, President Trump is the most transparent president in American history. And I don't think he said anything that he hasn't said for years.
Well, that happens to be true. Doesn't make it right, but it happens to be true. Now, Senator Slotkin also told CNN that the Trump DOJ's moves are setting horrible precedent for themselves. Play that clip.
Again, it is something that, I don't know if it's unprecedented in the history of our country, but I think most Americans understand that we have three branches of government. They're co-equal. And as our founding fathers set up, you shouldn't be able to sit in the White House and use the courts to get back at your enemies. And Democrats and Republicans, I've worked for them both in the White House, right? I worked for Obama, I worked for Bush, two different parties. But the idea that you would tell your, attorney general, I want to go after these people, just make a case against people I don't like because they annoyed me, they pissed me off, they're from New York, so I pay a lot of attention to them. That to me is a dangerous, dangerous precedent to set. And again, even if you are not a Democrat and you're a big supporter of President Trump, which a lot of people in my state are, I think people are smarter and they understand that if this is the new trend, what's going to happen when a Democrat's in power? What's going to happen against the people I care about? So it's a really, really dangerous, slippery slope.
I just wish that she would have had the same sort of outrage when they did it to me, not once, but twice. See, let me be clear, as again, I wrote in my Substack, this is not about Tish James. This isn't about James Comey. And it's not about Trump alone. It's about a justice system that has grown so unbalanced that prosecutions have become a political tool, wielded with impunity. And they have been for an extremely long time. Those, like Tish James, who once celebrated that imbalance, they are now discovering what happens when the weapon is turned back on them. The irony here is brutal. The machinery that they once fed is now devouring them. Meanwhile, Dan Cohen was on CNN, and he's talking about how Pam Bondi is at Trump's will because of the Epstein files. Play that clip.
We are trying to justify authoritarian behavior of people going after political enemies. Put Letitia James aside for a second. James Comey, you can go down the list. We are trying to justify with every one of these things what we should not be able to justify, which is that this is an attorney general who is taking orders via DM from a president who is trying to save her job because he's upset about what's happening with the Epstein files. That's what this is all about.
How do you know that? How do you know? Maybe he's upset because Tish James brought him to trial, convicted him, and yet ran her entire campaign on going after Trump. How do you know what it's all about? You have some special info that I don't? Now, meanwhile, Dan Cohen was the deputy cabinet secretary under Biden, and he explained how separate the DOJ was under that administration versus this. Play the clip.
I think we need to take a step back and look at the contrast here. When I worked as deputy cabinet secretary in the White House, we could talk to every single cabinet except for one. That was the Department of Justice. We couldn't even send holiday party invites because we believe in that independent DOJ. The Trump administration and Donald Trump is sliding into the DMs of his AG to choose who to prosecute. He railed against people of color, saying that they were unqualified DEI hires, when he just promoted an associate staff secretary to become U.S. attorney. That's the equivalent of a Pop Warner quarterback starting for the New England Patriots, okay? He's accusing Letitia James of this mortgage fraud. There are 3 cabinet members who committed mortgage fraud that he's just letting fly. So any other president would have been impeached long ago for this kind of action. Somehow we're disregarding it. It's a disgrace.
Yeah. Meanwhile, finally, Scott Jennings and Abby Phillips, well, they debated how two wrongs don't make a right. Scott Jennings didn't say, no, but two rights do make a left. Play the clip.
She tried to ruin his life and try to make it so he couldn't run for president.
So what are we going to do?
I mean,
She brought forward a case that she thought was meritorious, and it was found that it was meritorious.
By the way, thank God she failed in her ultimate goal. Otherwise, we wouldn't be bringing these hostages
Scott,
on Monday.
I mean, wasn't the argument about that case, that civil case that she brought, that there were no victims to the alleged wrongdoing?
That was always
wasn't that the argument?
One of the
so then wouldn't, if you were to apply that to this situation, how do you justify then charging her over $18,000, which by the way, again, like, those are allegations. We don't know if there were communications between her and the mortgage company about the change of a change of status for the property or anything like that. We don't know about that. But do you think that this is more of a crime with a victim than the one against Trump?
I can only read back to you her own words. When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. That's what James said. That's the standard she applied to Trump.
So you think that applies to Trump then?
I think we're.
I mean, she thought it did.
So Scott, hold on. Do you think that applies to Trump?
Yeah. Let me finish by saying this. America may be a country of laws, but we are without justice. Those laws are nothing more than tools. And when the government wants a win, let me be crystal clear, it always finds a way to get it. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.